Down here at Stratco Jeps Cross with Phil for our garden live. Phil, how are you?
Yeah, good. Bit cold, but
Bit cold.
you know, it is winter.
It is winter, mate. Obviously, come on, keep up. How are you? You been busy down here?
Yeah, I mean, you know, there's always stuff to do. You know, if it's not weeding, it's cleaning plants up, it's getting new stock through. So, always stuff to do in the garden centre.
Yeah. Talking about winter, weeds is obviously a big thing. Chris has touched on it in the garden notes for us, and obviously I'm sure people are seeing it in their gardens as well.
I guess the one thing that you can count on is if your plants aren't growing, your weeds are. So he was spot on with what he wrote in the garden notes, and you know, so yeah, it's just about sort of making sure that you're out there. I mean, no one wants to be out there all the time, but on those dry days when it's not so wintry, get out there. You know, pull the weeds that you can possibly pull out, or you know, spraying off with weed spray if you need to.
Yeah, and I think Chris touched on a few tips and tricks for keeping our plants healthy and growing through winter if we can, with some seaweed and things like that.
I think, yeah, I mean, when he was writing the notes, obviously, we were really getting that cold snap through. I mean, I did see on the news that we'd even had frost, which you talk of things that sort of aren't very common. Frost in Adelaide's not all that common, so so he was trying to sort of put products out there that might help with that. So he was talking about sea salt products or seaweed products, stress guard, those sorts of things. So, I mean, I grabbed a few off the shelf just to have a look and show you. So basically concentrate sea salt, or you can get it as a ready-to-use spray. This is great because like when it's just simple plants and you want to protect the leaves in the garden, you can just spray this on, ready to go. You don't have to mix it up into a watering can.
And you're just spraying that on the leaves themselves? And
yeah, absolutely. So, you know, obviously when it comes to whether you want to try and get out there sort of on the drier days so that the product can sort of soak into the leaf. But having it ready to use somewhere that's, you know, just under the patio or something like that, or just in the garden shed, whatever it is, just handy so that you can spray it as you need to, for sure.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah. I think you touched on another product, Draft Shield, was it?
Well, it's gone by a couple of different names. Drought Breaker, Drought Shield, Stress Guard has been the names of it, but virtually all the same product. Yeah, so I mean, it's a chemical that works like, well, it's a polymer that protects the leaves from both sunburn in the summertime, or this time of the year it's to really protect against that sort of frosty condition. Not a lot of people know about it, so we've always had it on the shelf, and it's certainly something that when you come in and you're asking like for sort of light burns on the leaves, what's causing it, it's definitely a product that you could look at. It lasts for anywhere up to about 60 days when you spray it on. Yeah, okay. So yeah, it's a good product to have.
Yeah, something you can use in winter and summer.
Yeah, and it's one of those things, I guess, with plants, you know, obviously always changing their leaves. I mean, if you can get yourself into a routine where you sort of spray it through those really harsh conditions, it'll protect those more sensitive plants in the garden. Yeah,
absolutely. And no doubt we sell plenty of stuff to help people control their weeds at the moment as well.
We've got everything from the weed sprays. I mean, you know, this one's No Grow 450, which is a really quite concentrated one to use. We have ready-to-use sprays similar to the sea salt. So if you've just got a few small weeds around the place, you can do that. You know, if you go with the concentrate, we've got the spray bottles that you can use. So yeah, I mean, something for everyone really.
Yeah, awesome. And I guess while it is winter at the moment and it is cold for everyone, spring is on its way.
I'm already working on spring catalogs.
There you go.
So absolutely. I mean, we've got to be thinking ahead for the next couple of seasons for sure.
Yeah. And what are you expecting to come in over the next month or 2 months?
Look, I guess, you know, for me, the first thing people are tending to ask for spring is the new range of vegetables. I mean, vegetable gardens are usually massive for us anyway. I mean, you can see behind us like the range of garden beds that we have. I mean, we sell tons of these things for people that have smaller yards and are trying to get into sort of growing some vegetables. So yeah, so that'll be the first thing. So already trying to work on an offer for basil and tomatoes, I guess will be the first things. Then obviously you've got your sort of your cucumbers and chilies and capsicums to come through after that. But yeah, we'll certainly be hitting the ground sort of early in spring, ready to go.
Yeah, cool. And is there anything you'd suggest people get on top of now in winter when it's dry, obviously, and it's not pouring outside? Obviously, you touched on garden beds. That's a great little thing you can do under your patio or in your shed
that's
and
exactly
get prepared
right,
in, right? So
you can get all this prepped ready to go. You can get your soil in and everything like that. I mean, in terms of gardens now, I mean, Chris touched on, mulching and things like that. It can sort of be a bit divisive in terms of mulching. Some people like to mulch through the winter time because it creates sort of that blanket effect. There'd be an argument to say that it suppresses weeds a little bit. But at the same time, there's an argument to turn around and say that, especially for things like citrus, you really want those early spring sun rays to be able to hit the ground rather than the mulch. I mean, if the sun has to get through the mulch, it's going to take longer to warm the soil up, and it's going to take longer to see any growth happening on your plants. Yeah. So for that reason, if it was dry, I'd probably get out there with a rake, just pull back the mulch a little bit, just to allow the sun to hit the ground a bit more.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. The opinion that's dividing horticulturalists.
Well, I think this time last year, I think we were talking to the people from Brunnings, and I might have made some comment about that, and I don't think that went down pretty well. So, but like I say, there's no right or wrong. I mean, it just depends on sort of, what your plants are, what your thoughts are in terms of it. Certainly, I wouldn't be mulching this time of the year, that's for sure.
Okay. Yeah. Good to know. Good advice for everyone out there. It looks like you've got some plants behind you as well.
Yeah. So I guess the one thing, it's cold and it's grey and it's raining outside, and the last thing you probably think about for winter is what colours around. But we work hard for our catalogues to make sure that they look good and present well. Camellias, I guess, are all in season now, and we've got a great range of camellias. These guys, and there's plenty of them out there, starting to show some buds on it. So, I mean, camellias would definitely be flowering in gardens, but I guess the one that we love to highlight, hellebores this time of the year. I mean, as you can see, we've got these in catalogue at the moment.
They're beautiful.
They are just a mass of flowers. There's probably 4 or 5 different colours out there. They're going to be flowering for the next sort of 6 weeks or so.
Yep.
These are just outstanding. So, rush in and get yourself some hellebores, because you don't want to miss out on something this beautiful, do you?
Yeah, no, they're great. A good way to add a bit of colour even in these dark and gloomy months. And I think we touched in the notes about deciduous trees, roses, and we spoke about it last month as well. People need to be
June is kind of early for it. So July, I guess, being the middle of winter, is the perfect time. So really now, if you sort of didn't get in early when we talked about it last month, you don't want to sort of miss out now. Doing all that heavy pruning on your fruit trees. So if for some reason you need to be actually removing branches to thin it out a little bit, or when it comes to roses, right about now most of them should have dropped their foliage. And even if they haven't, when you do your pruning, you can clean any leaves off that you need to. And you sort of, like I say, you want to get it done now. By the time you get into August, if we do see some early spring weather, and growth starts, you're starting to get a little bit too late. I mean, in terms of when you do your pruning, you want to sort of start the season nice and clean. And once again, you've got these sorts of chemicals that you can spray to make sure you don't start with fungal problems. So this one's lime sulphur. So this is a concentrate that you can mix up and spray on once you've done your rose pruning. We mentioned about that one, I think, last month. That's liquid copper. People probably know leaf curl spray or copper oxychloride.
Yep.
That's probably, that definitely is the best form of copper to spray now. It goes on less chance of burning. So if you do see some early growth and you spray the copper, you're not likely to burn any of that new growth. So, but these are the sorts of things that July is the perfect time to do.
Yeah. So a couple more staples for the shed that we can.
I think really, liquid copper is something that.
Yeah. I think we asked you last time what your favourite.
Well, yeah,
things are to keep in the shed.
There's always 3 or 4 chemicals that you just have to have.
Yeah.
Liquid copper is one of them. Mancozeb would be another, and probably like an oil.
Yeah. There you go. And obviously with pruning and things, tools, gloves, everything else.
Well, yeah,
you guys have got a massive range
behind us. So everything, huge rakes next to us.
Yeah.
So plenty of garden tools for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we said in the notes as well that fruit trees or citrus trees still need a feed if we can get there.
Yeah, I guess this time of the year, you don't want to overfeed, but certainly you don't want to starve a plant because, trying to make up for missing a complete season of feeding can always leave the plants looking a little bit lackluster and always chasing food. So most of the plants, even if you just throw a little bit of blood and bone around, just to put a bit of nitrogen into the soil, just to make sure that, with all the extra rain that we're getting, there's no shortage of nitrogen so the plants don't start to yellow off.
Yeah, awesome. That's probably good advice. Well, it's winter and we've got our winter catalogue out at the moment as well. Loads of specials, especially on gardening products, lawn and garden care and everything like that as well.
Yeah, plenty of things to have, plenty of offers on, potting mixes and fertilisers, chemicals.
Yeah, chemicals. Yeah. I think there's some garden beds in there. And if they're not in there, they're online with some specials as well. So it's a great time to just get prepped for spring, I think is the message, and get out in the garden when it's dry enough for you to do so.
Absolutely. Yeah, don't get wet, but enjoy the garden while you can.
Yeah, sure. That's right. And while it's winter over here, it's summer over in Europe and the Euros are on. And how you've been watching, Phil?
I've been doing a bit of watching. Got up this morning to watch England get across the line.
Yeah. Well, that's what we want. You're an English man. Very good. All right, Phil. Well, thank you for joining me, and we'll come back next month for another Garden Live, and we'll be speaking about spring on our doorstep.
I'd say we'd be talking spring in a big way for sure.
Yeah, perfect. All right, thanks, guys, and we'll see you next time.